state and spell your name?
Yeah, I can do that. My name is DeMarcus Bass, Demarcus, Bass like the fish, Bass. Would you like me to start?
You can just start from the beginning.
Well, with high school, I ended up going to Oral Roberts University. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a D1 private school. Got in trouble there. How I ended up there was in high school. I won state of Texas for high jump. I was jumping 7'1" in high school. I cleared it at the state meet, 7 and some change. I ended up getting a scholarship to ORU. Went there in my second year there. I ended up I was distributing marijuana, and I got busted for it, and we went back to Texas to pick up the product and came back. We were rolling. We were about 40 minutes outside of Tulsa, and we got pulled over at a tollway, and cops put the dogs in our car, and I was driving, and they found 10 pounds of marijuana in the back of the trunk, and that just basically ruined the scholarship there.
What happened to you after that?
They contacted the school. I lost my scholarship. I was the coach was like a dad to me or whatnot. Within it, I would say 2 days, I was on the bus, and I was traveling up to Missouri Baptist University.
Was it a full scholarship or a partial scholarship?
It was actually 3/4 of scholarship, and then the rest. I also played basketball too. I hooped on the team.
So they just took it away immediately, or did they have some kind of discussion?
It's weird because they took it away from my use, but it was actually still in use. Does that make sense? It's like they couldn't give the scholarship out to another person, basically. So it was just kind of sitting there, you know.
What happened after you lost your scholarship at Oral Roberts?
I'm telling you, it was like this. I mean, anything that I had big that I possessed, I had to leave behind. I mean, I was straight on a Greyhound bus that same very well, in the same situation within 2 days or whatnot. Probably about a day and a half or so. I came up here. Missouri Baptist University got me enrolled into their school, and it was what it was. I was scared. I was still going through this court thing. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, that's when all the fear just came into place.
And then after you got in trouble, did the school actually have to evaluate your case, or was it for sure that did they have a policy where?
Oh, I was done. We had curfew at our school at 12 o'clock. So I mean, it was real strict there. So.
And they informed you of this policy before you attended Oral Roberts, or
for
when
sure.
you got there?
Yeah. It's a huge orientation right when you get there. You know, they explain everything to you, and all that before you come in anyway. You know, you don't want to go in there blindsided.
Why exactly did you make the decision to start selling marijuana?
Well, my mom was addicted to crack even to this day. She's relapsed about 5-6 months ago or whatnot. And at that time when she relapsed, then my plans was I wanted to not only sell weed, but I wanted to work my way up to crack at that point in time in my life, because I mean I was just real low. I was just at a point where I want to own the thing that my mom is addicted to. So I can have that power to where if she tries to leave, she can't leave me and my brother and sisters again. At least because I have it right here for her. I mean that's a crazy way of thinking, but that's what mindset I was in at the time.
Did it ever scare you, the risk you were taking? I mean, because at that point you were a pretty good athlete, and you were on your way to becoming a pretty successful athlete in your own right. Was the reward worth the risk of losing that scholarship?
That's a good question, and honestly, I'm gonna answer it honestly. I took everything for granted at that time too. It was a lot of things were just given to me, and that's one of the things that was given to me. Oral Roberts was a choice. It was a scholarship of my choice. It was kind of a difficult decision. At first, before I got there, I became real spiritual. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to go the right way about it. I'm gonna get on my knees and pray for my mom. Maybe I become a pastor type deal, you know. And then when that happened, you know, I just went to an extreme level, and it was just a switch. So
Looking back at things now, is there anything you would have done differently?
I would never done it. I mean, my mom struggles are my mom's struggles. You know, I can't. No one can let someone else just dictate their life like that. You know, it's and now I take full responsibility for responsibility for the situation, but I just wish I wasn't that weak at that time.
Do you think, how, like you said, you were that weak? Do you think that was because you were so young?
Uh, I think it was. I don't know if it was because I was young or if it just the situation just reoccurred over like all the time. Like it just happened all the time, and I just lived with a lot of people during my whole life, you know. And I just wanted my mom to be a mom. That's just the bottom line.
And did being a kind of a star athlete in a sport, was there ever any pressure, or did that stress, did you feel like that ever factored into the way you made decisions?
Oh, that was a huge pressure. If Texas didn't contact me, that was a pressure right there in itself. Just starting out before I even got the letters, you know, it was a huge pressure in a lot of ways. Even when I was competing, I mean, I don't know if I can. Let's see. There were special treatments. There were, you know. I mean, and in order to get those special treatments, I mean, you know, you have to produce something, you know. And if you need those special treatments, then there's a lot of pressure for that, you know, to get that. And so there was always pressure. There was always pressure.
And then, real quick, going back to the special treatments you talked about, do you think that when schools do that for a prospective athlete, do you think that's a good thing, or is that kind of something that can lead to slippery slope or more issues?
That's a really good question. It depends on the person, you know. It really does. If the person is stable enough to, you know, just have a level-headed about it and just not get too cocky about it, then it's for them if they really need the help. You know, obviously in my situation, I felt like I needed the help, but my maturity level wasn't there, and yeah. So,
Do you think some people, do you think it's easier for athletes to find themselves in certain predicaments or certain problems because they're thrust into this certain situation and have scenarios because they have all this money given to them or whatnot, or girls or fame or people hold them to a higher pedestal? Do you think it's easier for an athlete to find themselves in certain scenarios that maybe an average person might not find themselves in because they have so much thrust on top of them, not only
Right.
pressure but fame and
Right.
all that stuff like
Right.
that?
That type of question, it comes along. That's a great question. It comes along with the person's weakness. You know, like if you're thrown into a situation where you're getting obviously if you're an athlete and you're talented and they're giving you this, you have options to do certain things. It all depends on what they're presenting to you to you know for you to fall in any type of trouble. I mean, you can easily prevent it, and then I mean, like I said, also if it's too fast, and it depends on the person won't be able to handle it. You know, they'll just eat it up. I mean, honestly.
Do you miss competing? Do you miss playing sports? Or
Yeah. You know what? When I left or whatnot. For instance, at a D1 school, you know, you may see some posters or some of some athletes on the campus or whatnot, and going to a smaller school or something like that. I mean, that kind of messed with my mind a little bit. You know, it messed with my confidence and it just messed me up because that was just basically me. You know, like, and that's